My band and I had the honor of spending the better part of a year on the road with Pantera. We were treated with so much respect by those guys and their crew. They accepted us as family. It was honestly one of the greatest years of my life. When this tragedy happened to Daryl and to everybody involved, it's impossible to put into words what you feel to see something go down like that. It was honestly beyond my thought pattern. It never had crossed my mind. I think everybody who steps on stage now, it crosses your mind every time. And everybody who knew those guys and everybody who spent time around them knew what kind of a family it was and how much respect there was amongst the people there. And I know that they had some differences in the recent years, but I never had a doubt that they would overcome all of that and that they would be together again. Been in contact with Philip Anselmo over the years since we did that tour, and had tried to contact him after this happened. He was out of reach for a while, but he called me the other day, and we were talking life, and I mentioned the show and what we were doing, and Philip, aside from being the lead singer of Pantera, Superjoint Ritual Down, and other projects, happens to be the most authoritative, knowledgeable boxing historian that I've ever known, and he has to come on the show and talk boxing, and that's what we're going to do. In this conversation specifically, Philip's talking about the heavyweight division, up-and-comers, as well as the people on the top, and also the light heavyweight title fight between Glenn Johnson and Antonio Tarver, as well as the undercard, which featured Ike Quartey versus Verno Phillips. So if you got questions for Philip about boxing, email us, kmbt@combatmusicradio.com. That's all we're going to talk about. We're not going to talk about the rest of this shit. We're going to move forward and try to bring something positive to this.
Verno Phillips, here we go with a guy that has fought successfully, sometimes unsuccessfully, but was always a badass and very, very tough to beat no matter who you were. Somewhere around the super middleweight division, probably more in the super middleweight division. And then Ike Quartey, who gave Oscar De La Hoya a heck of a fight. It was around the 6th or 7th round. Oscar De La Hoya puts Ike Quartey on his ass with a left hook. Ike gets up, he takes the 8 count, and walks straight into De La Hoya and wings another left hook. To me, it always, it made for great TV drama, and especially the referee's call that it was a clean knockdown. To this day, I kind of see their feet tangled. I see it more as a balance shot instead of Ike Quartey's supposed power and whatnot. And then later on in his career, before he took this big break, he loses a fight to junior middleweight Fernando Vargas, and Vargas beats Ike Quartey. Now, in hindsight, after we've seen Felix Trinidad destroy Fernando Vargas, and Felix Trinidad and Oscar De La Hoya, to this day, I don't care what anybody says, by points, and I hate to say it because I'm much more a Tito fan than I am a De La Hoya fan, but Oscar won the fight.
Totally agree.
He captured all the points early, and everybody talks about, him running in the last 3 rounds. Okay, I admit that it's not the most manly thing to do. It's definitely not the most Mexican-style fighter thing to do.
No.
You know, Marco Antonio Barrera, Eric Morales, any of the great, even Paulie Ayala, even though he's from Texas, still, they would fight their hearts out, you know, till the final bell. I tell you what, when they read the decision in Trinidad de la Hoya, I was so relieved in a way, because I knew that we had a champion that would just do anything and fight the best to beat the best. And Oscar de la Hoya, by running in those last few rounds, you know, kind of ruined that. And there you go. There's another fighter that Oscar de la Hoya beat, Fernando Vargas. He beat the hell out of Fernando Vargas and knocked him out. Anyway, Verno Phillips is the epitome of today I speak. As we watched him tonight on HBO, Verno Phillips is just the type of journeyman, and I do say journeyman very, very easily. He's the type of journeyman that will knock out an inexperienced fighter or an up-and-coming fighter who tends to take ex-champions lightly or would tend to take Verno Phillips lightly, because he does not come in at full shape every fight. My whole point is, alright, one more question to you. Do you know what weight they fought at? That's one thing I missed early on. What weight was it?
Yeah, they fought
at middleweight, 160?
Junior middle.
Really?
I think so.
Come on.
No, I think so.
Okay, now look, listen to me, Scott. Scott, this is me talking to you, and put on what you want. But for the mere fact that Verno Phillips fought at junior middleweight, I think that in itself shows a great, great hunger in Verno Phillips and a great confidence in Verno Phillips, because at this age, at this stage of his career, it would be much easier to fight at, say, middleweight, super middleweight, or something like that. But at junior middleweight, 154 pounds, Ike Corte has competed before, and he lost to Fernando Vargas, and we all know that. So, once again, it looked to me as though Verno Phillips played the part of the really, really tough journeyman, the main gatekeeper, the guy you have to get past. And, you know, hey, I thought Ike won. I really did.
I did too.
And I'll tell you that Verno gave him a great fight, and taking nothing away from Verno, I just think that Ike outworked him.
Yep. And he got up off the canvas too.
Yeah, he did.
He took a hell of a shot.
Oh my God. It was a left hook.
Yeah, and it was solid.
And he went flat on his back. You could tell that he was in great shape and recovered quickly. Now in the main event, light heavyweight championship of the world, I could not see the fight being so different from the first fight. I cannot give Antonio Tarver full credit, and a lot of people will disagree with me, and that is perfectly fine. Antonio Tarver is a fantastic opportunist, because all of his big wins have been against people with the odds against completely what Glenn Goff Johnson was doing. And, at the end of the fight, it was so clear to me who had won, and all this controversy that they made about the decision and all, I think it was unjust, because I saw Glenn Goff kick his ass. Glenn Goff has been a fighter, a professional fighter, for so many years. I've got tapes of Glenn Goff Johnson in the late 80s, all through the early 90s and through the 90s. Antonio Tarver is absolutely, in my opinion, fresh. He has not been in a war. He has not taken several punches and return. He's not been in a war, and you can say that, hey, maybe that's his style. Maybe that's his thing. He's boxed so well that, he's avoided those type wars. But I tell you, man, to me, it is a lot of opportunity, and he took opportunity every single time, and it has paid off. Just to say this, I gotta get it out there, but when Roy Jones Jr. weighed in at somewhere between 210 and 205 pounds for the John Ruiz fight, where he made John Ruiz look like a first-time Golden Glover.
Yep.
He beat his ass so thoroughly, so relentlessly, and he looked so comfortable, so ripped,
yep,
so built, so healthy.
Yep. Yep.
Let me ask you, Scott Kelly, when you weigh 200, between 210 and 205, and you are a sculpted Adonis of pure muscle, there's no way there was an ounce of fat on Roy Jones Jr. How do you melt that off your body to make 175 to defend your light heavyweight championship?
I have no idea.
Torture, Daddy-o.
Yep.
Torture. You starve yourself. I can't even imagine what it takes. I mean, to weigh 175. And look, when he showed up for that first fight with Antonio Tarver, his skin color looked ill. His enthusiasm looked forced. And then once he was in the ring after his entrance, he was really flat looking. Recapping on the fight just briefly through my mind that, when Antonio Tarver would be throwing a 50 punch combination against the ropes, and all I can even think of is how brilliantly Roy slipped all that stuff, and maybe caught a glancing blow, or if he caught like a flush shot, he took it well and kept slipping, and then would return just enough to either back Tarver up or let him know that he was not making any headway. I thought Roy Jones, no matter what HBO said to the audience, and look, HBO will influence people's memories forever. What people need to do is turn off the sound, watch the fight as it is, and then make actually, without even having a fight, they gave the belt back to John Ruiz, just like they gave it back to him after James Toney tested positive for steroids. It's amazing.
It is amazing.
It is the most, he is the most amazing heavyweight champion in the world. You know, a belt holder, you know. I mean, everybody they've put in front of him, even Kirk Johnson, Andrew Galata, Preza Kendo, they've lost. All of them have lost. And I have to agree with it, you know. But there's something, I'm going to come back to that. Let me get this one thing done with. Roy Jones should have defeated Antonio Tarver like he did, and then got comfortable again. Take an entire year off, let his body rest, but come back at heavyweight and let the WBA have like an interim championship fight, because Roy's taken a little time off, you know, which he does deserve, you know, and that's something that any sanctioning body would do. They would have an interim champion while the main champion is on hiatus, which they are doing to Vitaly Klitschko right now. And in the interim bout is Hasim Rahman versus Monty Barrett for the WBC interim heavyweight championship. So that means right when Vitaly Klitschko heals from back surgery, he must fight the winner of that fight before he fights anybody else. But personally, I'd love to see Klitschko shut James Toney's mouth now. Anyway, getting back to the whole point here, Roy Jones, if he would have come back at heavyweight after beating Antonio Tarver, which was his whole goal in the first place, he should have went right after Chris Bird, because I think he would have beat him. Period. I just think Roy Jones would have beat Chris Bird on speed, skill, style, you name it. I don't know. He would have beat him easily. That's just my opinion.
I agree. I think he would have knocked him out.
Hey, man, if it would have happened, it would not surprise me 1 inch.
Nope.
And I tell you what, where Roy Jones would have problems, I tell you what, and this is, listen to this is not coming from recent events or recent fights. I'm talking about when Roy Jones had defeated John Ruiz, and it was during this time one of his potential opponents at heavyweight was Iron Mike Tyson.
Yep.
To this day, I think Roy Jones would have shocked the world.
Yeah, I agree.
And knocked him out within 5.
Yeah, he would have
savagely, with speed and precision.
Yeah. Surgical destruction.
Yo, he'd have been a surgeon. Absolutely. Absolutely. We have Samuel Peter this crazy. I think Samuel Peter knocks him out in 1. I think right now, if the fight were signed tomorrow, John Ruiz would have a very, very difficult and maybe even disastrous evening if he met a young Samuel Peter right now. So that's how badass I think Samuel Peter is. We have not seen his chin tested, even though Yankee Diaz, who to me, anybody who knocks out Juan Carlos Gomez, who is one of my favorite heavyweights, and I mark my words here and now, Juan Carlos Gomez will fight eventually one day for one of the belts in the heavyweight division, if not a unified champ. Say Vitaly Klitschko wins all the belts, which I think is probably the most realistic scenario, and I really do think that one day Juan Carlos Gomez will just he'd have to be number 1 contender, and at least a few alphabet organizations, and he will, mark my words, he'll beat all the right people.
Well, it was hard to see Glenn Coffey get stomped.
Man, I thought it was awful.
I like the dude.
I mean, did you see all the pity-pat little slappy punches that Antonio Tarver was throwing?
Yep, I know.
And then he would end up throwing a hard combination, and it never moved him.
No, man.
Never. And Glenn Johnson wasn't hurt one time that fight.
Not even close.
But Antonio Tarver, I hate to say this, he did keep Glenn turning to his left. Maybe a little too much in the fight, and when you think about why Glenn didn't throw more, I mean, there has to be a reason. But honestly, Scott, I think that Glenn because I explained earlier that, Antonio has not been through the wars, the early losses, the give and take fights. He's fresh compared to Glenn man, and we might have, at 36, we might have seen him get maybe a little old overnight. He still had that more of a powerful looking punch than Tarver, but he never hurt Tarver either.
He didn't.
He really didn't,
He wobbled him a little bit once.
Right, that one little shot.
But you could tell that Tarver was fine, and plus Tarver just moved away. Tarver can move, and Johnson just, he just grinds forward.
Hey, man. Word has it that Lamont Brewster, WBO heavyweight champion, winning that belt, obviously, from Vladimir Klitschko, who collapsed in the 5th round.
Yeah, that was...
You saw that now.
I saw that, yeah.
All right, well, you remember also tiny bit and put Lamon down one time, and then he went crazy in the fourth and just threw, and he did knock him down 2 more times, but he made it through the round. And he comes out for the 5th round dead dog tired, and immediately you this. If Lamon Brewster takes Luann Krasniqi any way at all lightly, he is in for a hell of a night. And I mean a night to where he can be humiliated, overpowered, outboxed, and then knocked the fuck out. Personally, I'm going with Luann Krasniqi because I think he's got better skill. And I've seen him fight. He's very smooth, he's very calm, and when he goes to land a punch, whether it be a jab or a shot to the body or anything, he's very big boned. You can just see, he's just strong, very, very strong, very hard, but he's got this certain grace about him that is unique and refreshing. And I think that, honestly, about a year ago, I was begging to see, because everybody was so high on this guy, I was begging to see Dominic Gwynn fight Luann Krasniqi. But, of course, nobody knows who he is in the United States. Nobody at HBO's ever heard of him. Probably nobody at ESPN's ever heard of him. That's why you need a boxing genius like myself, the living boxing encyclopedia, to let you know who is badass or not, because I'm not going to bullshit you, because I've seen the tapes. Just beware of people's records and beware of what they have really done for the sport. And I am one of those people that have these fights on tape. And unless I have seen a fighter fight, that's the only time you will hear me talk about them. Because, take this for instance, there are another brother heavyweight team, and I believe the main one is Sultan Ibragimov, and his brother, his first name escapes me. It might be Timo Ibragimov, but they're both undefeated, and they're supposed to be bad asses. However, if I get a videotape and they're both 300-pound, bald, fat lard asses fighting nobody, then, I want my ass covered. But just the fact that I know their names, I know they're up and coming, I want to know what they look like, so I will receive a tape, and when I report about it, when I tell you about it, I'll let you know the truth.
Amen, thank you.
Absolutely.
And I'll talk to you again in about 10 days.
Alright, bro. Look, man, fuck it, I love you, and listen, man, fucking tell everybody else in your band, fucking I think about them, and I fucking love them, and fucking kick all, both of those shows, kick them in the fucking testicles.
Thank you.
Alright,
Thank you,
brother.
I will.
Alright, big brother.
All right, brother.